Hi, this is Amy Romeo from the jewelry making and craft blog amyromeo.com, and on this channel I like to share fun and easy jewelry making and craft projects. I've been making a lot of summer faux leather keychains using my Cricut lately, and today I'm going to share with you how to make two really fun ones, a flamingo pool floatie and a palm tree. These are really simple to make. We'll use faux leather and heat transfer vinyl. We can use any of the 5 current Cricut machines, so if you have a Maker 3, an Explorer Air 2, an Explorer 3, or even the Cricut Joy, you can craft along with me. So why don't we go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to make both of these really fun and summery keychains. So let's go over the tools and materials we'll be using to make these two really cute summer keychains using faux leather and heat transfer vinyl. We've got a palm tree and a flamingo floatie, and both of them have white faux leather as the base, and then they have heat transfer vinyl on top. I've used a combination of glitter heat transfer vinyl and some solid, but you can use any colors or combinations of colors that you would like. The faux leather that I'm using is from Amazon. This is just a roll of white faux leather. Faux leather often comes in rolls or also sheets. You can use any color that you'd like for this project. I'll be using the Cricut Maker, but you could also use any of the other 5 current Cricut machines, as I mentioned, because we're using the standard fine point blade that comes with all of those machines. I'll be using the purple strong grip mat to cut the faux leather and the green standard grip mat to cut the heat transfer vinyl. If you're using the Cricut Joy, you'll use the little green mat that comes with the Joy, because at this time there's no purple size mat for the Joy. To press the heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather, I'll be using my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting with a heat pressing pad and a little cover sheet to protect my surface. This is a Teflon sheet cut down to size. You could also use a butcher paper or parchment paper. You can also use a regular Easy Press. I recommend starting at about 265 degrees. I'll use some blue painter's tape to tape my faux leather down to the purple mat to get a good cut. And I'll use some craft scissors. I have some regular craft scissors, some small curved scissors, which are great for trimming the edges of the faux leather if necessary, some jewelry making pliers to add an optional tassel, a weeding tool. I have both a pin pen and the hook tool. You can use whichever one you prefer. And then to glue the keychain together, I'll be using some fabric glue, but you could also use a good craft glue like the Barely Art Glue. I like this one because it has the little precision tip and you can glue in very small areas. And then I'll be using for the keychain a 1 1/4 inch split ring key ring. I buy these on Amazon, and I'll have this and all the materials linked for you in the description. They come in gold and silver finish, and then I'll be using a 10mm jump ring, also in gold and silver finish, to attach the little tassel to the key ring. And here's an example of some of the tassels. They're faux suede, and they come in all different colors, lengths, and then the different metal tops, so you can match the metal top to your key ring color. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to get the SVG for these projects, and then I'll show you how to cut out your mats in Design Space, and we'll assemble the keychains. So to make this project, you'll want to get the SVG for the keychain from my SVG shop. I have hundreds of SVGs in my shop for keychains and earrings. At the time I'm recording this, I don't have the SVG for this project in my shop yet, but by the time you're watching this video, it will be there. You can click on the link here on the screen or get the link in the description. It'll bring you to a product page, just like my taco earrings SVG, and you'll see that you can either choose a personal use version or you can choose a small commercial use version, which gives you a commercial use license to sell physical products made from my designs. Then you'll check out and you'll receive an email, and you will download the SVG folder. The folder will be zipped, and you will need to unzip it before you can upload the unzipped SVG file to Cricut Design Space. In Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload, and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG files for this project are. The flamingo and the palm tree are both separate files, so you can upload them here one at a time, and then you can either upload the one of your choice, or you can select both of them to cut them both at the same time. Click Add to Canvas. And I want to drag my shapes apart just a little bit. So you can see that both of the shapes use the white faux leather as the bottom, and then we have our different colors of heat transfer vinyl on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and click the Make It button, and I'll show you how to cut out both of these projects at the same time because Cricut Design Space is going to separate all of our mats for us based on color. We'll be able to cut the faux leather base for both of these keychains at once and then cut out all the heat transfer vinyl mats. I'm loading my material on a mat. And the first thing to do is go through each mat here in the mat preview screen and click on the mirror button. And that's because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. If you're using permanent vinyl instead of heat transfer vinyl, then you will not mirror the vinyl mats. You would only mirror the faux leather mat. Now that I've gone through and mirrored each mat, I want to go through the mats one more time, and I want to drag the shapes apart from the top and the edge of the mat and also away from each other a little bit. And this is because I'll be putting some blue painter's tape on the faux leather mat, and when we cut the vinyl mats, we want the shapes to be a little bit far apart from each other, so when we cut them we have a nice healthy border of the clear transfer tape, and I'll let you know why we want to do that when we get to the heat pressing stage. So I've gone through every mat and I have dragged the shapes apart from each other on the mat, and now I'm back on the faux leather mat again. So I want to make a note of what size material I need to put on my mat to cut these two shapes out completely, and it looks like it's about 6 inches wide and 9 inches tall. I'll be cutting the faux leather mat using the faux leather paper thin setting, which I'll show you in the next screen. For all of the vinyl mats, you'll want to use the cut setting that's recommended for your particular material, recommended by the manufacturer. So for example, when I'm cutting the glitter vinyl mats, I will be using the glitter vinyl setting. For vinyl, I'll use the vinyl setting. If you're using foil iron-on or a different brand or type of vinyl, you'll want to pay attention to those recommended cut settings. So I've got my faux leather mat ready to go, and I'll click continue. So the material setting that I use to cut faux leather is the faux leather paper thin setting. I have it bookmarked here as a favorite. If you don't, you can click on browse all materials to search for it. If you're using the Explore Air 2, you'll need to turn your dial to custom before you can find this setting. So I'll click on faux leather paper thin to select it, and then I will choose more pressure. And you can see here that the Cricut is recommending that we use the fine point blade, which is that blade that comes standard with all of the current Cricut machines. So let's go ahead and hop back over to my overhead camera, and we'll cut out our faux leather and our vinyl mats. We'll glue our keychain, and then we'll add the tassel. So I've already trimmed my faux leather down to size, as well as all of my vinyl mats, so all of my little pieces are ready to go. These kind of projects are great for going through your scraps and looking for very small material sizes. So the faux leather, this is the pretty side and this is the backing. I'm going to place it pretty side down on my purple strong grip mat. Rub all over the back with your hands firmly, and then I'm going to use some blue painter's tape to tape down the edges on all sides. The blue painter's tape can be reused. You can use it probably 3 or 4 times before you need to throw it out. It's better to use than masking tape because masking tape can leave a residue on your mat and on your material. So our mat's all ready to go. We have our faux leather paper thin setting with more pressure set for the Cricut. So now we just need to load the mat and begin the cut. So the Cricut has finished the cut, and before we unload the mat, I always recommend using a sharp weeding tool to lift up the edge of the cut to see if the cut went all the way through. This one looks like it did, which is great, but if it didn't, we can rerun the cut by just pressing the cut button again, or pressing the rerun button on the screen if you're using a Cricut Joy. You can repeat the cut as many times as needed to be sure that your faux leather has cut all the way through. I'll go ahead and unload the mat and remove the shapes. And then you can see how these fold over keychains work, where the front and the back have the shape, and then we just put the little key ring up here. So now that I've removed both of my faux leather shapes, if necessary, you can use the small curved scissors and you can trim up any fuzzies on the edges if necessary. Once these are all set, you can set them aside. Now I'm going to return to Design Space and I'm going to begin cutting out all of the vinyl mats in order. For the glitter vinyl, I'll be using the glitter vinyl setting with default pressure, and I will repeat the cut one time because this is the Caesar glitter, which is a little bit on the thick side. And for the regular heat transfer vinyl, I'll be using the vinyl setting with default pressure. So I'm just finishing weeding out all of my vinyl layers, and then I'm using scissors to trim the shapes apart from each other. I wanted to show you before I trim the black layer, there are 4 little shapes here. These two are connected. They form part of the flamingo's beak, and these two are connected. So you can trim them apart from each other, the front and the back of the keychain, but you don't want to separate the shapes from each other. That way, when you place them down, they're going to both be placed in the perfect position at the same time since they are connected. So we're all set to go. We'll do the flamingo first, just so we aren't getting confused. I've got my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting, and I'm going to place my faux leather keychain on my heat pressing pad. And now we're just going to match our pieces left and right, top and bottom. I just put my vinyl there. You can see there's a nice white border around the flamingo, and that's exactly what we want. Then we'll cover with our cover sheet and we'll press for about 10 seconds. If you're using a regular Easy Press, you don't need to move it like I am. You can just set it down. We'll move our cover sheet, and then we'll try to peel away the carrier sheet. If the carrier sheet is peeling away and the vinyl is lifting up or bubbling, then you'll just place the carrier sheet back down and repeat the press. Now we'll do our next layer, which is the center of the flamingo floatie. Then we'll attach the beak. And on these, we want to be sure that we're pressing the layers in the right order. On my blog, I have a written tutorial for this project, and it includes what I call a layering guide. It's basically a visual graphic that shows you which order to place the layers. So what I'm doing right now before I press these down is I'm dry fitting the layers. I'm making sure that the black layer and the light pink layer and the medium pink layer, that they all fit together correctly like a puzzle piece before I press down. Now I can move the black layer out of the way and then press that light pink layer. So that's one half of the flamingo. I'm going to flip it around and just repeat on the other side. Now that the flamingo keychain is pressed on both sides, you'll see that the faux leather is starting to bend up a little bit, and that's because it's hot from the heat press. So what I'm going to do while we're pressing the palm tree is I'm going to place this one underneath my pressing pad so it has an opportunity to cool flat. So here's our palm tree. This one is easy with just 2 layers. And we'll just match up the leaves of the palm tree. And there's the palm tree. So now I'll just swap out these 2 places, let the palm tree cool flat, and then it's time to glue the keychain. So before I glue the keychain, I want to attach the key ring so it's easy for later, and I'll just sort of fold this into a circle and slide it into the key ring. Then I'll place the key ring with the pretty design down on my mat. And I'm using that fabric glue, and I want to start spreading the glue close to the edge, but not all the way to the edge, because when we press this keychain under a heavy book to help make it nice and flat, that glue will seep a little bit out to the edges, which is what we want. If we get it too close to the edges before we press, then it will seep out and kind of make a mess on the edges. So I have one side of the flamingo glued, and I'm not gluing on this center part, and I'm not gluing on this side. So carefully move that key ring out of the way and then just fold over. And just spend a little time pressing with your fingers, lining up the edges so that the edges of the front and the back of the keychain match up nicely. This is how it's going to look when it dries, so you want to make sure that everything lines up. Let me set that to the side for just a moment. We'll repeat that with the palm tree. So the key to getting these keychains nice and flat is to let them dry under a heavy book for several hours. So I'm going to bring my book and I'm going to place each of the keychains underneath the book with the key ring out and give them an opportunity to dry nice and flat. We'll let these dry for a few hours and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to attach the tassel. So our keychains have had a few hours to dry. I did take them out about 30 minutes into the drying process just to make sure there wasn't any glue that was seeping out around the edges, and there was a tiny bit, so I was able to clean it up with just a little damp paper towel. And now we'll take out our keychains. I think they look really, really cute. And what's nice about them is you can see the really nice, almost seamless edge that you get from pressing these under the heavy book. So let's go ahead and attach our tassels. I'm using a 10mm jump ring. You could use one that's a little larger if you wanted to. The tassel does have a little loop at the top, but the hole is not large enough to slide directly onto the key ring, so we need to attach it with a jump ring. And that's it. Our tropical keychains are complete. I hope you like these projects and you're going to try making some of these faux leather keychains yourself. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. Was it the flamingo pool floatie or the palm tree? I would love to know. If you loved these projects as much as I enjoyed making them for you, then I think you'll love some of the other faux leather keychain projects I have here on my channel. Just keep watching and my playlist will start and you'll be on to the next faux leather keychain tutorial. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.